his hand up.
I'll have to wait till after the show starts.
We're already started, guys. Say hello to the audience. Oh my gosh, they didn't realize it. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure tonight. Happy Friday, September 13th, 2024, as we come together as a community to talk about disclosure, my friends. Welcome to the show. Great to have you here tonight. Yes, this is something we call Friday Night Disclosure. Let's jump into the audience. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the back to talk, and I just had to go ahead and roll with it. Glad I could take that and make it something we could have some fun with. On that note, where is... I'm not looking for a Boeing. What I'm looking for. A little too loud. Take it down. Let's go ahead and welcome in our audience. Who the hell do we have out there? God, I don't even have the super chats turned on. Let's go ahead and welcome in our audience. But before I do that, I need to do this. Click. And I have to go to here and say limit 20,000. No. Oh, we'll get there in a second. We're almost there. Almost there. And I'll get it. There we go, audience. Now I've got the chat on, so I can bring up the auto chat. There we go. Let's welcome in our audience. Who do we have out there today? Welcome. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday Night Disclosure. Man, what a week. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. My neck has been, and my back and everything has been, oh, it's been so fun. So fun, I tell you. Let's go ahead, before I get into the drolls, let's welcome in our audience. Who do we have out there? We have Ann Joanne, Andrew Davies, Andy W. You're in the chat, and you're not in the back. Happy Friday, Andy. I'm sorry, it's actually Saturday by you, my friend. April R. Coleman's around along with Aubrey McLeod. Carl Joe Garrison's here along with Dan Larev. Eric Groth and the Gurus. The band has made it. Fernando Suazo is here along with Fink Ployd, Firefly, Frankenstein, Idaho Strong, Jan, J-Cat, Kathy, Kelly Broughton, those piercing blue eyes. Love you, Kelly, as always. King Bull's here, along with Meadow Gaming, also known as Martin. Reality Check VIP, also known as Harold. Got a lot of those also known as, but that's okay. I'll have to say AKA. Stephen Forbes Jr. is here, along with Super Unknown, the Mac Geek. Thomas Fessler's here. Oh, that's me, but yes, of course, in two heads, 666. How about that? But my friends, you know how it goes. It's not just about the audience. It's not just about me. It's that time where we get to welcome in our community in the back. Who do we have out there today? It's a full house, and believe it or not, our friend from Bristol, United Kingdom, where it's freaking been cold lately, down to 38 degrees at night. Let's welcome in our dear friend, Andy W. How's it going, Andy?
Hi, Thomas. Yeah, I just made it in. Literally ran in the door almost.
Happy Friday, my friend. Did you have a good work week?
You too, mate. Sorry?
Did you have a good work week?
Yeah. I've come off the machine I was working on. I'm now solely on the floor.
Are your lungs a little bit more cleared now? You breathing better?
I'm a lot better now. Yeah. I'm finally feeling. I had a stiff neck yesterday, so I'm feeling you. Yeah. So yeah. Getting there, though. I actually feel fairly human now, so yeah. Which is pretty good for me.
Yeah, you had a stiff neck, but you could have had a stiff something else. But either way,
yeah.
Good to have it in here, Andy. And I'm sorry, so sorry to see that they're actually trying to keep Nigel Farage off of the news. What's up with that?
Trying everything, aren't they? It shows how desperate they are.
Oh, freaking Keir Starmer got it.
Like a UFO subject. Yeah,
it all goes together. It's all part of the community, my friend. Thank you for coming in here today. Got to make sure what we say, because the last thing we need to do is have the Andy, you said something on social media crew coming and locking you up.
Yeah.
That happens.
It happens. Oh, well.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Our next friend we have here coming from the upper Midwest. Let's welcome in Hollywood Harold. Harold, did you get a chance to see the aurora that's been going on the last couple days? It's been fabulous in the evenings. And God, I need to be able to have your phone number so I can call you when it's actually happening.
Yeah, actually, I didn't go out and look. I seen them like back in the 80s and stuff, and I wasn't super impressed or anything, you know. So I just hang out here with my little buddy because we missed you on Monday, right?
Oh, yeah. 80s, that's like freaking 40 years ago. There's been some phenomenal things. You know what? I'm going to have to get you out there, be the man in the streets, the man in Midwest, in the upper Midwest, to go ahead and grab those pictures that I can't get. Being in the Seattle area, it's been so cloudy here, we can't see anything. But thank you for coming in today, Harold. Wonderful to have you here. Turning our sights on our next panelist in the back, we've got our regular remote viewer targeter. Let's welcome in our very own Laura Campbell. Hi, how's it going, Laura?
It's going great, Thomas. I think it's so funny how I've been doing this for years, and now it's becoming a word that's being dropped all over the UFO community lately.
Remote viewing, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I've been following this for for a very long time. Got into it, well, yeah, as a kid.
Yeah.
Well, we got to have fun with it. It's wonderful to have you here, Laura. Thank you for coming around.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's get past Martin and Metal Gaming and move on to our next friend coming from Washington State. Let's see if he says hello.
Yeah.
Nick!
Hello, Thomas.
Nick, how you doing, my friend? Thanks for coming out tonight.
I'm doing good.
Excellent. Great to have you here. Well, if we turn the world upside down and look for Australia, we're going to find none of your business. But no, actually, it's our own Susan Ford. How's it going, Susan? Wonderful to have you here.
It's going pretty good, Thomas. I'm looking forward to tonight's show. I missed the last show. It was, I'm sorry you were sick. Hopefully you're better now. And yeah, it's a long time between shows.
My neck has been acting up lately as I get older. I'm about 12 years post having a 2-level artificial disc installation back in, God, when was that? 2009, 2010, give or take. It's been a while. It's having some issues, and I went out in the neighbor's backyard digging to try and find the post that defines our property lines. Because you gotta love being a homeowner, and I did it, and I screwed things up, and it's, when it acts up, I've learned, go ahead and take a rest, and that's exactly what I did on Monday. Thank you for coming here today, Susan. I love you, girl. It's wonderful to have you around.
Gets better. It might be time for a revision.
There are no revisions on this, Susan.
Oh.
The only revisions they have are literally putting in a cage and bars on either side, and I might as well have the Frankenstein terminals coming out of the side of my neck, because that's what they're going to build.
Oh, bugger.
Oh, yeah. At least I've done my research and I understand where I'm at. But let's go ahead and turn our sights on something happier. We have our dear friend Syrup here. Let me pull up my Barney Robocup. How's it going, Syrup? How's it pouring, my friend?
Oh, it's going good. I'm on Disclosure tonight on a Friday night, man, so it's going great. It's going to be a good show.
I hope so. We try our best around here.
It's going to be great.
Thank you, sir. Well, the woman who has something to say and isn't afraid to say it. Let's welcome in our very own Tia Loreno. How's it going, Tia?
Hey, Thomas, what's up? How you doing?
How am I doing? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm doing pretty good. I see so. Could be better, could be worse. But you know what? It's Friday. We're all together as a family. We're all here together as a community. Let's have a fun time, shall we?
Absolutely.
Yes, and that tag takes us back to... I had a look before I played it. Mike, Disclosure. Mike, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well, Thomas. Looks like we're going to have another fun Friday night show with the audience. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, what an interesting week in Disclosure it's been.
It has.
Oh,
a lot
God.
of interesting things. Yeah.
Yeah. Scary stuff, not really, but you know what? Something we've talked about that's going on right now, the UAPDA, the UAP Disclosure Act. It's something I asked Lou about in one of his first open question and answer sessions. It's probably the only time we're going to be able to get Lou to answer a question this time around. And I asked him, my question was specifically, what about the UAPDA 2.0 is going to make it through the House? And Lou back then told us, if it makes it, you'll get a little bit from one side and a little bit from the other, and that's about all we're going to get. I believe, didn't he also say that it's asking for a lot and it's maybe gone too far? We'll see where it happens with it. Yeah.
You're right.
No, I'm just remembering, and I could be wrong my exact stuff, but he was very, very limited in not saying, yes, it's going to get through. Yes, it's important. And what has been not subscribing, thank you, reality check. What's been transcribing this week is it looks like it's getting stuck in the Senate. There has been people, Ronak P over on Twitter, for the job that he's been doing. He is up against the wall trying to get people to call in and to make it happen. But because of what's coming up in November, Mike?
The general election, Thomas.
An election, like you've been saying all along. Because there's an election coming up, it's not like there's going to be an opportunity to bring up individual legislation to get something like amended to the UAPDA. I mean, to the National Defense Authorization Act, like the UAP Disclosure Act 2.0, which is really 1.0 with a bunch of really small changes that went into it. And because of that, because we're in an election cycle, which everybody, unless your head is buried 10 feet under the sand, well, at that point, you're still going to know there's an election going on, right, Mike? And it's a highly contested election, left versus right, right versus left. And it's, there's a lot of stuff being thrown around. Hello, Moose.
Exactly. And it's not just in this country. All over the world, they're aware of the American presidential election.
Oh, yeah.
So
We've got that.
Well-known.
We've got World War III getting ready to kick off potentially. You've heard about that one today, haven't you? Where basically Putin came out and said, if NATO allows Ukraine to take any of their weapons and use it going into far distances within Russia, we're going to start attacking NATO.
Big talk. And that could end up in World War III if he's serious. Good news is I don't think he's truly serious about it. I think it's saber rattling, posturing. For all of our sakes, I hope that's true.
Potentially, but hopefully that leaves the schmucks in control in Washington and the schmucks in control of NATO the opportunity to not escalate this, because that's going to be a problem. Right. And that's the last thing. And you know what's going to happen? If stuff does kick up, the non-human intelligence won't do shit to stop it.
No, they haven't in the past.
They knew what we built for World War II, and they watched us drop it on Japan, not once, but twice. Did they stop us? Did they do anything to prevent that stuff from going on? Never.
No, sir.
We've had famines. We've had genocides, like in World War II and beyond in Bosnia. We've had other things go on for the longest time, horrible atrocities. We've had famines. Remember, we had the big, huge tsunami that came in on Southeast Asia at one time. Did they do anything to stop it or protect anybody in humanity?
No.
Have they ever stepped forward in recent times to help humans?
Not to our knowledge.
No. So, good luck, kid. You're on your own. This is about where we stand.
We wish
it was different, but it's just the reality of, well, this is the world we live in. This is the stuff we're at. We've got stuff going on in, Eastern Europe, Ukraine. We've got stuff going on down in Israel. There's stuff going on getting ready to kick up in the Eastern Asia with Taiwan. I mean, you got the United States government came out this morning. Actually, it was in the news. It happened yesterday. They're actually starting to push NVIDIA, Apple, and other companies to start going ahead and start shifting their production from TSMC in Taiwan and start shifting it to the new fabs, the new chip fabrication facilities that the CHIPS Act coming from the Biden administration, which Intel has gotten the most money out of it, to go ahead and start producing chips in the United States. But you know what? I think Intel kind of reeks like Boeing these days, Mike.
Their stock is in the toilet, Thomas.
Yeah.
Really bad hits. they've been taking.
Wasn't there a
But they
recent
got
hit
all
they
that
hit
money.
where they lost 30% in one day?
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah, it's one of those. But you know what? This is the world we all live in, and all the stuff, whether we want to deal with disclosure, we want to deal with everything else, it all comes down to that same big pot of life that we all want to deal with. Now, apparently, if you remember the National UAP Disclosure Act 1.0, last year we had heard that both Travis Taylor and Jay Stratton, who were part of Radiance Technologies down from Alabama, they had spoken out against the passing of the UAP Disclosure Act last year. Not that any of their words would have been heard, because we already know that Mike Turner got buckloads of cash to go ahead and shut that down. But apparently, coming from Stephen Greenstreet, also known as the Middle of Mayhem, that Travis Taylor comes out strong against the Schumer rounds legislation, UAPDA, saying disclosure is gone if it passes. But Taylor reportedly helped write the UAPDA, which I haven't heard. The only person that I've heard who was part of writing UAPDA was Carl Nell. Now, maybe he had his hands in there with Elizondo and Grush and others. That's fine. But, you know, I've got an audio clip here I can go ahead and play of Travis Taylor that's coming from the, and I'll get to the audience to the back chat in 1 second, because I've asked them. Let's be active on this. I want to have more people talking about this than just me. Let me go ahead and bring this up. Let's see if I can find the desk. Chat, not that one. Video, full guest. Here we go. Oh, this one's a bit off, but it'll work anyway. Let's get this a little bit over. If the Schumer Rounds Act or anything else like it passes, disclosure is gone. Let's see what Travis Taylor has to say on this one. Only 34 seconds. It's a quick one.
If the Schumer Rounds Act or anything like it passes, disclosure is gone. The government has no rights to come to my private property, or Brandon's in this case, private property, and tell us we can do or can't do whatever the hell we want to with it. And now they're trying to weasel it into the omnibus bill again with the same wording. Fight that, or you will no longer have private property. That's right. And you will no longer have private property rights, and then there will not be any disclosure. If the Schumer Rounds Act or anything like it passes.
So there you go. It seems that Travis Taylor is really against eminent domain, Mike, which kind of means that if someone is so against eminent domain, you know what that means to me? That little bugger has something that he's trying to hide, and he doesn't want the United States government to come in and take out of his playground. Huh?
Exactly.
So what we're dealing with Taylor is yet another layer of obfuscation and failure of disclosure. He's trying to say that disclosure is gone. Well, the truth of the matter is his ability to go ahead and hide the facts, to hide the truth of what he has, is now gone, and they can't monetize it. And trust me, that's what it's about. It's about the monetization and taking what they know about UFOs, whether it's taking this out or charging $250 a plate to come have dinner with me. We'll talk about that in a bit. Syrup, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I don't know if I even trust Travis Taylor or Jay Stratton to a certain degree. They work for Radiance. Surely there's a conflict of interest going on there, man.
Well, they did, but don't forget they have that new organization that they've put forward. What is it called again, Mike?
Quantum Frontiers.
Quantum Frontiers out of Virginia.
Yeah, they're hiding something, man. And that's just my opinion. That's not some blue Elizondo conspiracy BS. I know some people like to think that, but no, this is just my take on it, man. They're hiding some. I don't trust them, man. I just don't.
Yeah. You know, trust is something we all have to deal with, and it's something we all have to look forward to. I appreciate those comments. Andy, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I see this as a bit of a double-edged sword with this, with Travis and Jay and eminent domain. One hand, yes, I agree with you, where potentially if they're working for these companies, then he's also involved with Skinwalker Ranch, which is a privately funded. And as far as I can see, that
I would say Skinwalker Ranch is a privately funded entertainment venue. No more.
Yeah, you know, I'm seeing a 6 of one, half a dozen the other with this. Really, you know, would you want any information, any technologies or anything that these companies have found actually becoming part of the government? Because are you going to see it? I don't believe you will. I think it'll be locked down even harder than it is at the moment. Yeah. So
we just have to look at what the government has, and I have to say the government probably has some really good stuff that they've been hiding from all of us for the longest time, Andy.
You know, it goes, you know, from one hidden compartment to another hidden compartment. You know,
yeah.
Eminent domain. I don't see. You know, it's a really difficult one to say. Oh, they shouldn't put it in, or they should, because it's going to be hidden no matter what. And none of us are ever going to see this technology, this information. So,
but it comes down to, Andy, do you want to just have the government involved with this, or do you want to have a bunch of potentially Lex Luthors out there, like in Superman, it's someone who's a regular human going and grabbing as much stuff as they possibly can to create the super technology that could potentially overthrow the world? So where do you take it to where when you've got technology that's so advanced? Do you leave it in the hands of regular humans, or do you take it out of there and not just take it out of their private control, but take it and publish it into more of a public domain? But our government would never do that. You know why? Because they're afraid that anything that we bring out or anything that we may say may not educate our enemies, but may, quote unquote, inspire them. That's how much our counterintelligence system looks at this stuff. It's not just worrying about the information getting out there, but what happens if the information gets out there? What is their enemy going to do with it? How are they going to deal with it? Then how are we going to deal with that situation? So it's humanity they're basically taking humanity and turning it on itself, versus finding ways of taking humanity to bring it together and unite it on a front.
Yeah, I have just some big issues with the government taking it. I think, you know, they don't always have our best interests at heart. Yeah. You know, a lot of these tech companies won't have our interests at heart.
Right now with censorship and all this stuff goes on, they don't have us at heart. You know what they have at heart? Their freaking wallet.
Yeah. So all it comes down to is money.
Yeah.
Can
Sarah,
I
go ahead.
piggyback off of what Andy is saying, just so I could understand a little bit better? Yeah, the eminent domain is giving the government the ability to basically obfuscate or grab a hold of the information from the aerospace companies that are hiding this stuff, or the Department of Energy or whatever.
So what they're saying is if as an aerospace company you have gone and privately found and retrieved a non-human intelligence piece of technology, we have the right to come and grab that and bring it back into our domain, because that's something, a matter of national security, which I kind of agree with. In one way or the other, it's kind of sick, but it makes sense, because we don't need these megalomaniacs who are in charge of potential corporations having the ability or the access to this to pull it where they want, because it is a matter of national security. Does that make sense, Sarah?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I appreciate the clear up on that.
Yeah, I wish it was different, but it's just, you just have to look to it. But the thing is, we had a new whistleblower come out earlier this week, right? Talking about stuff, and it's like, oh wow, I heard all this different stuff, but you need to trust me. The thing is, we have people who are saying you need to trust me coming from organizations that you really can't trust. So how do you take it? For me, I'm not all in. I take it with a grain of salt because you never know the true intentions on anything. Nick, you have your hand up, my friend.
Is it kind of like stupid what he's saying? Because they could take the alien spaceship under national security grounds anyways. Actually, is it kind of silly, Thomas? Because like he's against a eminent domain, but if things crash land, then the government can just take it under national security grounds.
Okay, right now, if a craft from NASA were to crash in your backyard or in your 50-acre parcel of land or your 10,000-acre parcel of land, no matter how you live, no matter where you're at, in the United States, today, Nick, do you have the right to that technology that fell out of the sky? No, you don't.
No. It's under a national security grounds.
That's under national security. Yeah. So what they're trying to say is, if we've had other stuff that's high technology, like our stuff could be considered technically, and that stuff comes and crashes down on your property, what they're saying is our terms of what you can have and what you own and what you don't own is now going to be expanded to include things from a non-human intelligence, which makes sense. It's from a high technology. They're just trying to protect the general public and cover stuff up, but that's what they've been doing for over 75 years. Laura, you have your hand up, my dear lady.
Yeah, what I'm interested in is quantum frontier. Obviously, they're transferring hyper advanced technology into commercial application. Who's their customer? They've already, the rental space is enormous. Stafford, Virginia.
Well, hold on a second there. Okay, Quantum Frontier, let's bring it up, is a new organization that was set up between Travis Taylor, Jay Stratton,
Angel Diaz,
Lou Elizondo.
Lou, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So it's privately held. You don't start a company like that.
They were in Wyoming, which was Lou's home state, although he's not going to hang out there apparently to run for Congress, for the Senate or the House, whichever he had planned to run for. Because remember, there was talks about that in the past. He's now relocated somewhere near Washington, D.C., let's just say that one, because we don't want to put the cat out of the bag on that one. Somewhere on the East Coast, and now we've got this new organization you're talking about, Laura. Tell us about it.
Well, it was founded in 2024, privately held.
Well, it was founded before that. They did a transfer of the limited liability company, set up as a corporation, out of Wyoming to Virginia. Continue.
And it's in a beautiful office space in a very expensive area of Stafford, Virginia. Now, my question is, so if you are going to start a company with that kind of money, you have the backing, who is your customer? You're not just going to start. Oh,
really? Yeah. Not just that. Customer? If you're a company who's a startup coming into this, you don't have any clients or stuff. You're not going to have a huge, how many thousand square feet of office space do they have, Laura?
Oh, I don't remember, but they're listing their 11 to 50 employees, which is a big gap. 11 to 50. What are they, part-time? Yeah, I looked at it, but it was still, it's
probably a couple thousand square feet of office space, if not 4,000 square feet or more. We'll have to see.
So can they just say, for example, they get rolling here and they have some materials that they're keeping secret, right? So they have some plans about what they're going to be designing and building. They're not just going to sit there with, twiddling their thumbs. So they must already have a plan. They must have a client that is interested in purchasing whatever it is they're going to be using. Who is that? Who, or numerous? And are they international clients?
I'm raising my hand on this one. Laura, have you or your team been doing some remote viewing on them yet?
No,
Oh,
it's on my
damn.
list of things to do, though. I can do that
Please
this coming
do.
week.
Please do.
Okay.
The more they try to hide stuff, the brighter they shine. Isn't it that way, girl?
Yeah. The only
Yeah.
thing we did look at Jay Stratton, and there were materials that they're hiding. Not everything is shown on that show, Skinwalker, and there was a material that if you dropped it, it kind of like slowly came down, didn't quite, almost like a feather would hover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
that's what
wow.
we got.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow. Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you for speaking on this. Andy, you have your hand up, my dear friend.
Yeah, so this company, Quantum Frontiers,
Yeah.
now you named 4 people.
Yeah.
Now, I know of 3 people involved. We know 3 people's names. Who is the 4th person? Who? Angel Diaz? Who is
Yeah,
this
is
Angel
that a
Diaz?
guy who was, I searched Angel Diaz and I found that potentially Angel Diaz may have had some interactions going from IBM or something to that extent back in the day. What have you found out on him, Andy?
Oh, I haven't. That's the first time I've come across his name.
Yeah.
So if anybody else out in chat or anywhere has any ideas, because we all know the 3, famous names. This person seems to have come out of left field, to suddenly be joined with 3 very eminent people in the UFO field.
Eminent, yeah.
Yes, eminent. Yeah. Not imminent, eminent. But yeah.
Come say, come saw.
Yeah, it just where this person's come from. May well be that they've been brought in because they do have some, I don't know, computer knowledge or technical knowledge or whatever. But yeah, it would be interesting to find out who this 4th individual is.
Yeah. It's something we're going to have to find out because we're not sure exactly which Angel Diaz that we're dealing with, but as time goes on, we're going to have to dig into this. We have 2 more people with their hands up before we get into hearing about the UFO hearings coming up. Hollywood Herald, you have your hand up, my friend.
Okay. There's a couple parts to this and stuff, right? What's their end product? What's this business going to be producing, or is it just going to be research, right? And could their end project be like working with the implants that Lou's talked about, or could it be with the metamaterials that Nolan's talked about?
Yeah.
And who's going to be their client for this stuff, right?
Well, the federal government, of course. Why else would they be in Virginia, so close to D.C.?
Suppliers, too, and stuff, they're going to have to have some exotic materials to work with this stuff, right? So keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth all of us to go ahead as part of this community, keep an eye on what they have got going. Tia Loreno, your hands up.
I think this kind of really irritates me a little bit. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they started this business, and it just seems really shysty to me because it seems like they're hiding shit.
They're shysters. I haven't heard that word in a long time. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's what it sounds like. And I know people are probably going to get mad at me because everybody loves Lou, but why didn't he say that? Why hasn't he said that he's doing something like this? There's the biggest 3 heads in UFO right now.
Yeah.
And they're
what he has said, though, recently, since you bring it up, have you heard about Lou Elizondo's new tour that he's taking across the United States? And he's actually going ahead and having in-person appearances. And the tickets range from like $35 up to like $50 or $70, somewhere in between, that you can go ahead and get it from the mezzanine all the way down to the premier tickets up front. But this is something I was joking around with Mike with the other day, was saying, Mike, is he going to have the special dinner tickets out there like Stephen Greer had? Because remember, Stephen Greer at one time was having the ability to go ahead and come out and hang out with me and have a personal dinner with me. I think he was charging like $5,000. It was in some crazy amount. But I saw on a live stream from Lou Jimenez earlier tonight when he was actually bringing out and showing that Lou Elizondo, for his new tour across the United States, if you want to have a personal dinner with Lou Elizondo, it's not going to be personal one-on-one, but it's going to be a dinner where you can attend with Lou Elizondo. Mike, how much are they charging for that? Was that $250?
Yes, sir. $250.
Yeah. So
top
Lewis
of the
said he
cost of the
wants to
ticket.
take the conversation personal to the community, but it seems like it's truly a pay-for-play situation right now, isn't it?
It certainly seems that way. You make some pretty valid points, Thomas.
Yeah. Nothing against the situation. Everybody has the opportunity to go ahead, monetize your situation, get to where it is. But for someone who has been so
Vocal.
on private
Without
conversations with regards to Stephen Greer, that he's playing from the same playbook now. Granted, a lot less, but it's the same playbook that was so well criticized in the past.
So from a public relations perspective, it doesn't sound to me like it's an ideal strategy at this point. I would agree.
It's one of those things you look at and I just sighed. And I shake my head and say, it is what it is, but you know what? We're not going to not cover it. We're not going to not talk about it because this is stuff out there in the public sphere that everybody should realize is what we're dealing with here. No, I do have a copy of Eminent sealed in a box. I haven't opened yet, so if you're interested, let me know. Happy to sell it to you. Seriously. All right. Let's go ahead and jump onto this one. Where am I at? Well, we've got another one coming. You've heard about that there's going to be a Senate UAP hearing coming before the end of the month from Kirsten Gillibrand. And thank you to Ryan Sprague for bringing this wonderful audio that I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for it. If you can hear it, don't blame me. I understand what it takes to have good audio. Let's play this little 58-second clip of Matt Laszlo talking with Kirsten Gillibrand about a hearing they're going to have, and then we're going to have some good insight on this after we get to the end of this. Let's get to this. Where is it at? Video full guest. All right, let's go ahead and play this clip here. Audio's up. Here we go.
Are we gonna see a UAP hearing this month?
Yeah, I have that on schedule.
When is it scheduled?
It's in September, I'm pretty sure.
Interesting. Why is that a priority?
It's a priority for me because I think it's very important that we continue to make things publicly available. Give a progress report on how many unidentified aerial phenomena we've assessed and analyzed, give examples of what we have identified, and give examples of what we haven't identified so that the community can be kept up to speed about what we're actually doing and what this office is doing. We also want to try to continue to build credibility within this office so more of the public can feed in sightings and have a place and a platform to send information and inquiries, because that's eventually what this office is supposed to do.
And this is going to be with Arrow, Timothy Phillips?
Yep, and we'll have there's a new head that's been identified. I don't know if it's been publicly named yet, but I'm hoping that the new head will be the one to testify. Amen.
So, really quick, Mike, on this one, my biggest concern is they have the new head of ARO coming in, and he's only weeks into this position, right?
If that, correct.
So, at this particular point, if he's trying to come in and answer questions to Kirsten Gillibrand, he's not, unless he has his staff members there with him, which you know is never going to happen. He's not going to be able to answer majority of the questions coming in to Senator Gillibrand.
Right. And I think before this hearing takes place, you and I could probably realistically give the audience an accurate representation of what the results of that hearing is going to be with Gillibrand. How does the sound effect go? We ain't found what?
Oh, I've got that. Here we go.
We ain't found shit.
There you
that
go.
one. That one more time.
That's
We ain't found shit.
There we go. You know,
that's what that hearing is going to show everybody.
Because the biggest thing, what everybody needs to realize, irrespective of who is in charge of ARO. Granted, we have a new chief who came in. The people he reports to, the direction they follow, has not changed at all. So if you think you're going to see a change because middle management has changed out, don't hold your breath, because it's not going to happen. We're going to have this same shit that happened in the past happen again, because the guy who's a spokesperson, the director of it, he has many bosses, and he only gets to say what the bosses go ahead and say. And think of the same thing for Kirkpatrick. Everything that was Kirkpatrick was saying was Susan Goff in tow. There is nothing that would have changed from that, because he was following the direction of his leadership. Harold, you have your hand up?
It's completely off topic here, Thomas. I was wondering why you didn't have the ticker running at the bottom here tonight. You worried about an attack or something?
No, not at all. Sorry, I'm dealing with some stuff right now. Didn't think it was
All right, because I've seen some interesting comments and stuff scroll by me here. Just saying.
Harold. Sorry, I've been focusing on the content in the show. Sorry, I just had some squirrels yelling at me. They needed some food.
From who, Harold? Like, give me an example of one of the comments. The auto chat's not up.
We got some off-topic stuff about L. Ron Hubbard talking about Kathy and other stuff. We got a big part includes money from players wanting access to the tech, etc. Yeah, I can turn on the auto chat, my friend. Just keep an eye on it for me.
Yeah, okay. I don't see anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah, exactly.
We're good.
Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to this to Kiki again, as our friend Patrick calls her.
Yeah.
So she said potentially September. Well, we're mid-September practically already. What do you think on, it happening by September, being that you do have your elections and your representatives are all busy dealing with that?
Mike?
They'll probably do it by the end of the month, like they did with the UAP disclosure hearing that they had with Grush. They wait till the very last day or two before the end of the month. And the reason they would probably rush it like that to September is because October, November, we're in the election cycle.
Right.
They're not going to have any hearings at that time.
And if I can bring up, that's a good point you can bring up, Mike, about, we've had people saying we're going to have a hearing from the House Oversight Committee hearing potentially, or from some other area. We've had some things pop up from Mike Comer, I think, or James Comer, whatever his name is, to go ahead and talk about election interference and other things going on. But to have a particular hearing come forward at this point in time on September 13th coming forward, going less than a couple months, we're just a little bit less than a couple months away from the next election. Don't count on having any kind of a hearing in the House of Representatives, and that would be coming from Nancy Mace, is what we've been hearing the rumblings on. The truth of the matter is, people have checked, they've looked at it, Mike, and what have they heard about the hearing coming from Nancy?
Oh, it's not on the schedule.
It's not on the schedule, exactly. Before I get too far, Lori, you had your hand up. Sorry, I missed you before.
That's okay. We did look at trying to determine what date that they were going to do something. So we remote viewed it last week. And what was so funny about it is I had this as the target, the month of September. And the minute I walked in to do the project, my remote viewer said, we're supposed to talk about the month of September and upcoming events. So it was ridiculous. And all I can do is tell you, we didn't get a specific date, but we got a run date between the 23rd and the 26th. But in terms of something big, countrywide was going to be happening during that time. And if it didn't take place then, we were looking at October 2nd through the 5th. But those dates came up and that we couldn't get anything else from it. So that's all we got.
So that's clearly coming in potentially 2 different time frames we could be looking at for hearings coming forward.
Right.
We don't know if it's hearings for sure, but we got some big major event, 23rd through the 26th of September, and then October 2nd through the 5th.
Yeah. Now coming.
I would say that date that Laura's talking about for the 23rd to the 26th is probably more likely if they're going to have the Senate hearing with the head of ARROW.
Now, what we do have here is we do have a new quote coming from Representative Tim Burchett, coming from the House of Representatives, talking about hearing exposure. The next House UAP hearing is going to be about exposure and laying the groundwork. On that note, let me go ahead and bring that up. Let's see what I can do to bring this one up, and then we can talk about this one as well. Yeah, a lot of stuff's going on this week, my friends. Thank you for coming out tonight to this episode of Disclosure Tonight, where we've got a great roundup of UFO news going on here. Let me go ahead and bring this up. Video full guest. All right, Mike, let's play this audio clip coming from Tim Burchett from just a couple days ago from Matt Laszlo. Now, I apologize if it's not that audible. I have no control of that, but all I want to do is bring you the latest news. So here we go.
Welcome to the Ask a Poll UAP podcast. And hey, make sure to continue changing Washington. Do you think you guys are going to be more effective going with mace chairing than it would have been with Grossman?
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to. I don't know. I don't mean, I don't need any more so, but I think Mace really has a grasp of the issue. She asked the tough questions the last time. She has a history with this, and she's known in the UAP UFO community, much like Luna is. They ask the tough questions, and I'm not afraid of a lady being chairman.
Yeah.
So talking about Annapolina Luna, right, Mike?
Yes, sir. But
or
on the
Nancy
clip that you
Mace.
just played, no,
one of the two.
Annapolina Luna.
Yeah,
he was talking about.
Let's continue.
But he also said that Nancy Mace is known in the community. She asks good questions.
Yeah.
And what are you guys as a caucus? Because time is running out on this. Congress session.
Well, I don't know that.
I mean, get out of it. Or is it laying the groundwork?
And laying the groundwork. Everything is laying the groundwork because nothing will happen until we get a president in the White House that says, we're going to get to the bottom of this thing.
Have you seen any signals?
I just want to bring this out really quick. There has been a lot of conversation on this, and there's been a lot of pushback from like Joe McGurry and others with regards to Joe McGurry is a registered, if you want to call it, true blue Democrat. And anything that comes out where it talks about potentially we could get good disclosure coming out of Trump, he's like completely against it. But this is something we've been talking about here on Disclosure Tonight for some time, Mike, and I will throw my hat in the ring on this one, and that would be the Mickey Mouse hat, UFO hat, into the ring on that one. And I'm going to say the Trump presidency with what's his name? My mind blanked on this one. Kennedy. With Kennedy on the ticket, I think we've got the best chance here, Mike, of bringing disclosure forward than we've had for the longest time.
Well, we already know that if Kamala Harris gets elected, it sure as shit isn't going to happen.
No.
Right.
She's part of the same executive branch. Lou told us a while ago that has pulled back from and does not support disclosure moving forward at this point. And it's something we've seen on many fronts besides the conversations we've had.
Exactly, that's true. So we know as far as the Democratic side, if they get reelected, disclosure isn't going to move any forward than it has in the past 4 years already.
Right. And you know what? If you're red or you're blue, you're purple, you're somewhere in between, either respect this. If you're up for disclosure and you want to vote for disclosure, hate to say it, kind of shows you where your votes need to go. Harold, do you have your hand up, my friend?
Didn't I hear a rumor that RFK, whatever, was going to be on Trump's transition team?
Yeah. Well, he's going to be part of the administration.
All right, I didn't know that. I just heard the transition team.
He's going to be part of the transition team, and he's going to be part of the administration to make America healthy again. Going after big food, big agriculture, going after for all the stuff that they're trying to shove down our kids and parents' mouths to go ahead and make all their money, which is making all of us sick, which is then funneling big pharma and big medicine. It's this whole big circular thing we're dealing with. And you know what? To have a presidency to try and go ahead and step up for the people in that manner, I'm behind it 100%. How about you, Harold?
Well, I'd just like to point out another thing, man, about the whole central status of the system. We got like 12 big companies that supply everything you find in the grocery store and stuff, right? They have a big breakout of salmonella or something. They have to shut down the whole.
That was Boarhead Meats, I believe. Was it Boarhead?
There's Tyson.
No, there was one they had a plant in Virginia, I think, and they were tied back to the recent bout of listeria that happened, and they've actually gone and shut down that particular plant. Jobs are gone, location is gone. They've had too many problems. They killed a bunch of people, so they're shutting it down is the way it should be. They've had their chance.
Smithfield, right?
It wasn't
they're big. Tyson, they're big. General Mills or something, the big
General Mills
producers.
is more in the area of big agriculture and cereals.
And then you got Monsanto's all got their fingers in everybody's
Monsanto, which is owned by Bayer, which goes back to the whole thing of genetically modified crops, GMOs that we have, so they can go ahead and use their pesticides, which are killing the insects, killing the bees and everything else. And it's a good thing to do because we're making all this money off it. It's just messed up. Yes, Pete Liebel.
White blood clot thing turns out to be true, man. What would you say the odds were the other day that 5 out of 7 of us had the vaccine or something?
I don't know what number I came up with, but that was based on a survey I did on the show. And it showed like, 70, 80%, 90% of the people who responded had all been taking it. And if you want to learn something, research the vaccine you got and blood clots and morticians, I believe.
Right.
I'm not gonna show this stuff. You as watchers of the show, as viewers, people we all care about, seriously, research this stuff and it will blow your mind with the information that's being brought forward. Just saying.
I thought I'd take you up there.
Thomas, I think you can mention for the audience that there was a report that recently came out of South Korea about nanostructures that are forming in the human body.
No, not necessarily. You can bring it, but Dr. John Campbell's live stream that he had with regards to that was actually taken down off of YouTube.
Wow.
So
really?
Search like the stuff we were talking about in nanostructures. Or just nano in general. There's some really scary shit that they found. Self-assembling structures inside. And this, but it's, you know, Mike, if it's self-assembling, I got to ask the question which no one has brought up yet. Is that a different kind of life?
You know, it's funny you said that because when we were discussing this report that recently came out, they didn't get into the weeds on it, but the fact as far as what they discovered, that's the next logical question. How can something be injected into the human body and then start organizing
and self-assembling into structures? And if you talk about that, that is like a life form.
That's like something out of an alien science fiction movie.
Ah, you said the word alien, not me.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
It's scary stuff.
My mom had damage to her heart valves after that stuff, after she got hit with it. She actually went initially through, she was paralyzed. First, she was having a hard time moving her legs and it was moving her arms. And then she couldn't talk. And she was gone for about a week. We thought potentially, that exactly. We thought she was potentially at the end. And this came within, hours of her getting, that. She, from that point, her birthday was on January 18th, it was her birthday. She had two birthdays on the 18th and 21st. Because her parents and what the real one was. I'm sure there's a lot of people who potentially have this. Anyway, that's where my mom was. She had her, there's ones that are corkscrews and everything too, Laura. It's amazing stuff that they're getting, not just the ones that are at right angles where you just look at the stuff and you're like, what the hell is this shit? So she got, there you go, thank you very much. She had gotten the vaccine, couldn't walk, couldn't talk. She was recovering from a hip surgery, but because she lived in a home and in Washington, in Illinois, they mandated her that she had to go ahead, because she was in a assisted living facility, that she had to go ahead and get that. And when she got it, she went through that. Within a number of months after that, besides her going paralyzed and stuff, which we took her about 2-3 weeks to recover from, she finally got past it. And then she started going through, what was it? Her heart valve, which she's had problems with, started failing. And all of these different things that I'm talking about are all known side effects from shot 1 and shot 2 that she got. My brother initially, when I brought this up to him, was like, no, you're crazy. How are you saying this stuff? Don't say that. That's wrong. But today he says, Tom, you were right. And it's one of these things, you just have to look at the evidence. You have to look at the facts. You have to look at what we're finding. And just, Laura, you're showing some of the stuff. You know where I'm coming from on this. I'm not trying to go ahead and spin something wrong. I'm trying to stay within the box within YouTube, but this is something we all went through.
Yeah, I've been following it from the very beginning. So I knew ahead of time we weren't going to take the shots at our house. And I continue to follow it. And when I did see John Campbell's article related to this, I screen grabbed it because I felt that it was important. And sure enough, they took it down. So it was actually 2 doctors. There was one from Korea and the other doctor was from Japan. And they independently... No, that
same show that was taken down off of YouTube is still up on Rumble. Just so people want to know if they want to find it.
Okay.
Yeah, I downloaded a copy of it. I've got it on my hard drive now.
Yeah.
But it's free to see on Rumble, like Thomas pointed out.
You can still see it now, so there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And again, this is just I don't know how we got here from watching Tim Burchett talk about different stuff, and because we're talking about the cover-up somehow. But great conversation. I want to thank the people in the back, Harold and other people, for bringing this stuff up and getting us down this. Mike, everybody, Laura, Harold, thank you for being part of this conversation and trying to bring this out to the audience, because it's something important we all need to be aware of. Laura, thank you for searching and bringing up some innocuous pictures that I didn't acknowledge what they were from.
You're welcome. And I just real briefly, I'll just say that we did look at the monkeypox, that we targeted this one.
Yeah.
And what we did find, and I know that they have all the vaccines all ready to go. And they had some stuff going down in Africa, and there's these clades 1 and 2 they talk about. One is a little worse than the other, but here's what we got. Monkeypox. It feels more like if we're going to have another, not pandemic, because it's never going to get to that level, but if it becomes something that more people are talking about, it feels like it's going to be from India this time, where there is the heat and has dense populations for it to spread. And we were getting flashbacks from when you see the map of the USA, where there are red areas in the east and west coasts. Yeah. So that's where the 2 areas, and the timeline feels controlled when they need to have it released. The very young and the very old need to be concerned only, but otherwise Just in the future, as kids get vaccinated to go to school for diseases, they will be including this monkeypox in the shots.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's the
just another
future,
thing we
so-
don't need. I just want to say, if you're a slut or you're a hoe, and that's not what I am, but if that arranges to what you're doing on your apps on your phone some of the times these days, not that anyone on the show is watching this, but if you are, then you may want to consider getting the monkeypox vaccine, because it's transmitted from very close and intimate contact, extended, rubbing up against things, having a fun time. So if you're in that area, consider getting it. But if you're not, it doesn't sound like many people are at a risk, are they, Laura?
No.
No.
Just wear gloves. If there's outbreaks in the area, in certain areas, just wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Simple stuff.
Yeah. Going in an elevator, use your elbow to press the buttons. You find different places that people put their hands all the time. Just avoid it. It'll keep you from getting sick. Let's continue on back to, I guess we're getting back to UFOs. Here we go. Oh, not that one.
Because of that, from Trump fans or Harris Walls.
Yeah, Trump's people are big for it right now.
Are they?
Well, because he said something about it. Harris hasn't said anything about it. I think it's just a missed opportunity. You don't have to do anything, hardly. Just I gotta get a video of Rick before I leave. Don't leave, Rick.
Good.
You're good. You that all you need?
Well, so you think this is laying the word?
Yeah, for future things. And I think we'll get some good quality witnesses in, and I think too, more whistleblowers will come in because of this.
Yeah. Right now.
I think that would be excellent, and I think that.
So they're going to get more quality witnesses and whistleblowers, which could potentially point towards, which Lou has kind of hinted towards, is having Lou be there, but potentially this new person who came forward earlier this week. What do you think, Mike?
Maybe. It's possibly. You're talking about Sarah Gam.
Yeah, of course.
Who was on Matt Ford the other day. Potentially, she already announced that she's going to be in James Fox's new documentary, The Program. So we know that she's making an appearance there. She might show up if they have this hearing, which we already talked about. It's not going to happen this year.
Just one thing really quick. I have ADD. I don't take my meds. Why? Because it screws with my blood pressure. So simple things. I have a hard time sometimes remembering. That's why we have Mike here, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
It's the small things that I can't complete a sentence or different things. I hit on it. It's just where I'm at. Now, if I'm on Adderall, I'm just like boom, 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 wham, hit that return key and continue. But sometimes without it, I'm just a little bit more, being myself.
Well, you can start a sentence, and I'll do my best to help you finish it.
Bingo.
There you
we get
go.
along perfectly that way.
Absolutely. We're a team.
The great Kreskin, right?
Or we're just a very well-oiled machine.
Yeah. Oh, I like to consider myself Carcinio more than anything. Let's continue.
That'll lay the groundwork for the next president to do what's right with the issue.
Because right now, those whistleblowers have nowhere to go because they don't trust Arrow.
I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw the dome off the Capitol.
Right. And you guys making this an actual issue, do you think the start of the next Congress, no matter who's in control, we're just going to see a different posture that this issue will be?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I don't see why it wouldn't. We have laid the groundwork for it.
Yeah.
Good.
Broadly bipartisan. Good to see you. Have a good one.
Now, you gotta give Tim Burchett props. And I'll say it, Tim Burchett, like I'm from Tennessee, because I respect the guy. God, I got in such trouble for talking in an accent after. Even Kamala does that one, but he is such the most outspoken person I think we've had in government ever. He has been direct to the point. I mean, if you look where he was a couple of years ago, you had some of the quotes that he came out from on the spot interviews from TMZ. Tim has always been there for fighting for disclosure and fighting for the truth. He's been calling it a cover-up as a member of Congress, longer than anybody else. And it doesn't matter if you agree with Tim on what he does in his own other ways. Disclosure is bipartisan. And you can't look at a person and say, well, you know what, we're not going to support him because this. If disclosure is important to you and you live in his district, you're going to vote for Tim. Just like if disclosure is important to you, the only choice you have right now, I hate to say it, is Trump Vance. It's where it lies. I mean, hell, he even has Elon Musk and everybody else on his side. It's an amazing combination of what they're going to bring forward and what they possibly can. We're at a critical point, and it's just let's get back to this and continue. Oh, actually, we've already heard the end of it. Just the end of the end of the broadcast is literally just, let me get this back to here, Mike. Oh, let's see. I've got other stuff here. That's an absolute fact. Oh, I'm not going to show that one. No.
Well, while you're searching, I just want to make a quick point to the audience.
Yeah.
You just made a statement that disclosure is the one subject that we know in Washington is bipartisan. And you and I have had plenty of conversations about this privately. So let's share with the audience how we know it's truly bipartisan. Because for all of the members in the UAP caucus who are pro-disclosure, there is an equal amount within Congress that is anti-disclosure, and they too are also bipartisan. It's from both sides of the aisle.
It is. And that's the key about it.
Right.
It's like, if you believe Lou or you don't believe Lou, demand the truth. Because the only way we're going to find the answer, Mike, is if we get the truth of what's really going on. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, you're 100% right. But Syrup just raised his hand. Go ahead, Syrup.
Yeah, Mike, you said half are against the disclosure. Do we know who's in the back pockets of these people? I'm just curious if you know.
Representative Mike Turner from Ohio. Representative Mike Rogers. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. I mean, the list goes on. It's an equal amount against disclosure that are also bipartisan, both sides of the aisle, as well as people who are for disclosure. Syrup.
And are the aerospace companies, et cetera, in the back pockets of these people?
Oh, absolutely. Mike Turner, one of his main constituents is Lockheed Martin. What do you think where that money is coming from?
Imagine that. All right. I was just curious. Thanks, man.
Our pleasure.
Yeah.
Continue.
One of the things I just brought up on the screen, Mike, this is just towing back a flash in time, and since Disclosure Time has been around, this initial video clip was actually recorded on May 3rd, 2022. It's something we did cover probably about a year and a half ago at least. It's something that what we're looking at is we're looking at a giant squid here. If you can see that, Mike. That's in the background. And as they're focusing in on the giant squid, there's something that goes shooting across the screen. Now, this is, if you look at the depth, they're right at, this is in meters in depth. Actually, depth right now is 421 meters in depth, so it's pretty far down. If I bring up the date, this was recorded on May 3rd, 2022. And since that date, we haven't had an answer as to what the hell.
Compass at top. See the compass up on top? That's direction it's pointing there, right?
Yep.
Okay.
No, they don't have, they have pan and tilt that goes on here as well. There's something called super harp on that particular side that goes in with it. We've got the actual date that it was actually shot on. And then, what else do we have? Oil level 79%, etc. Turns 0.28. So that's the basic object. So aside from the technical information that's on here, this was shot off of the coast of Japan. But you look at the thing that's flying across, and they're going to get into it right here. There you go. That's the part where you look at it, and you just have to say,
"What the clear as day."
Clear as day. Look, it's a flying saucer. Potentially, it's some kind of sharded object that's really brightly illuminated. And these are the kind of things that you never hear an answer to. But these are the kind of things that point it out there and say, our scientists who claim they know everything really don't. Andy?
Yeah, I'm quite intrigued by this. There's a few things. One, how big is the squid? Now we know it's a giant squid, but
those are usually a couple 100 feet in length.
No, not normally a giant squid. So I think they go up to about 50 feet.
I'll find out in a second.
How far is this object away from the squid? We see it go behind the squid.
We don't know.
Yeah, so it's either something that's quite small, so I've got my mouse, a computer mouse there. That's my fist. I'm not a very big bloke, but is it something that's the same size as the squid, really
so
close?
They can be up to 13.
Something that's really big, perspective-wise.
We don't know. But we know that whatever object is there, based on this image, is actually going beneath the squid. Now, the squid is at least somewhere between 10 to 13 meters in length.
Right. So, yeah.
Either way, it's something that's below the object to a point when it's moving, it's not disturbing that squid.
And it's not swimming like we would see. You would think, even if it was, we'll just say for argument's sake, a fish, some fish can swim really quickly, but it's not moving in a way that looks like a physically alive object. It does look more like it's something artificial.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
It's just one of those.
Think about focus too. When you focus the picture and stuff, that both of them were almost the craft in the back was a little bit fuzzier than the squid itself. So, think of the parallax and the focus and stuff, right?
If I look back, where's it at? Right there. And you can see, let me move this up the screen. You can see right here when it's going below it, it's bright enough to where you're seeing it's below it. It's actually pulling in the light of the actual object that's there. So it's close to it, but the biggest thing which you can look at this is saying, if this is the actual side of the creature of what you're looking at, right? Look at the illumination that's causing on a localized manner on the side of that creature. Now, is that light potentially coming up and illuminating the side of the creature, or is that light that's coming up from the bottom in a channeled manner, and it's illuminating the flesh of the creature from what you're looking at? Does that make sense? Because if you look at and say, here's the edge of the creature, what's going on, this thing that's going that's going below it is upcasting such a strong light that it's carving into that flesh of that creature and illuminating it.
I think it just bleed over. It's so bright compared to the background and stuff that it's reflecting off the camera, maybe.
Maybe here you go. There's an equal equal example where you've got it on one side of the creature and on the other. But it's something to take a look at, and everybody needs to go ahead and take a look at that and figure out how they want to go ahead and figure out what the next steps are. Jesus Christ, we're at 7:24 already. I know I've had a bunch of clips here that I haven't covered on. Oh, let's get on this one here. We got a bunch of clips of Lou talking about, let's see, Ross. Okay, at the end of the Ross Coulthart and Lou Elizondo interview, they said these words, quote, Ross, really appreciate what you guys are doing. Let's just see where he's at, and we'll go from that point. Video full. Here we go.
It's interesting. Again, thank you. And Ross, really appreciate what you guys are doing. I know some of the folks that you've talked to, and I got to tell you, man, you got a lot of weight on your shoulders, brother. Man,
it's an interesting time.
So that's a really strong statement, Mike. I know some of the people that you've talked with, and you've got a lot on your shoulders. Is that leading precedence, Mike, to what?
The question that Lou was asked in a previous interview about the UFO that was too large to move and they had to put a building over it,
right,
which is something that Ross covered. So he's alluding, I believe, to that with Ross.
Yeah.
That was the point, I think, of that part of the clip of the video, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I just wanted to see.
That's how it hit me.
Oh, God, yeah. Let me skip down. We've got another clip here coming. Lou's take on Majestic 12. Let's go ahead and play this clip as well. Let's bring this up. Coming from the Need to Know podcast.
I'm aware of Majestic 12. Let me see if I can answer this in a way that is succinct and accurate. There is absolutely a cabal, an organized group of individuals who have a comprehensive understanding of the U.S. government's involvement in the UAP topic going back decades. They are very influential, and they guard this information jealously. In the past, they have been able to exercise extreme influence, and I cannot overstate the terminology I'm using here, okay, to keep this conversation squelched. And both Dave Grush and I cannot speak for Dave, have felt the brunt of that at one point. And I'm not prepared to go into that conversation right now. That will, at some point, that part of the story will probably be revealed. It's very concerning and disturbing. The lengths that people will go to in order to keep this conversation under wraps, again, I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I can understand the rationale. I think I'm gonna leave it at that. There is a very, very influential and powerful group of individuals, and not all of them are necessarily happy with this conversation happening.
I guess the only follow-up I want on that is, have you seen that memo, the Eisenhower briefing memo, and do you have any emotional feelings one way or the other about whether you think it's real or not?
It was before my time. I have no idea. I wasn't even alive. I'm aware of it. I saw it. I didn't write it. So, okay.
Wow. Your thoughts, Mike?
That's a loaded question, if ever I heard. Yeah, he's like a politician with that answer. He's using a lot of words and not saying very much in the actual language. That's what I got from that. He's not being specific one way or the other.
Yeah.
Or as he likes to put it, he's neither confirming or
nor denying anything. But it's very intriguing, irrespective of that.
True. But at the same time, let me also point that out. I'll be devil's advocate right here. There is nothing to support either side of that answer at all. There's no documentation. There's nothing authenticated. There's no evidence to back up any of the claims one way or the other. And that's something else that I take notice of, as you're well aware of, with everything.
Right. Well,
So,
with anything,
it's odd.
for any serious claims that you have to have serious ways to back up everything that you're saying. That's just a reality of the situation for anything.
True. Because if you can't provide evidence to support the claims that you're making, then it's simply an anecdote. It's another story being told. He said, she said, which you and I both know that conjecture is not admissible in court.
Oh,
so
never.
It's not taken seriously, right?
Not at all. So I've got another clip here coming from UAP James, coming from the same conversation, where Lou Elizondo was talking about Dick Cheney, which has been in a lot of the conversation
In my
lately,
time.
that potentially Dick Cheney is one of the gatekeepers dealing with it. Wasn't Dick Cheney involved with BlackRock or something?
Yes, he was.
Back in the
And
day?
Ross was the one that stated out prior to this, and we, I believe, covered this on the show briefly a while ago. Ross had made a claim that one of the National Security Council attendees during the second Bush's administration was in fact a key gatekeeper in the legacy UAP program for the government.
Yep.
And you and I went over that, and we saw who was in that specific National Security Council meetings. Dick Cheney was one of them because he was vice president.
Absolutely.
But now, so that's what's coming out now. And clarify for the audience where the allegation about Dick Cheney potentially being one of the gatekeepers
That
came
from an interview we actually covered about a year and a half ago. That was from like some podunk
Exactly.
newspaper guy who met David Grush, and David drove up in his pickup truck and stuff, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was exactly it.
Yeah.
And that was one of the key points that this reporter had put into the story. That it was, according to Grush, Dick Cheney was one of the gatekeepers.
Well, on that note, let's hear the question asked to Lou about that. Let's see what he says, Mike. What do you think about that?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Here we go.
There's been a very interesting post in the last 24 hours that seems to have been very quickly taken down as soon as it was posted. But there's a guy called Walter Kern who interviewed David Grush for a podcast or a magazine, I think, called County Highway. And in an interview, Walter asserted, and I don't know the truth of this, but I haven't spoken to David about it, he asserted that Dick Cheney is at the very top of the UAP secret keepers, according to David Grush. Can you comment?
Look, there's a lot of speculation about who may have known what and when.
So right there, let's just pull out. There is a lot of speculation about who knew what when. So that, at this point, takes the entire conversation, what Lou's saying, and throws it in speculation, right, Mike?
Yep.
All right, let's hear what comes out of speculation.
Right. Okay.
And remember what speculation is. People are guessing their best guess on what could be going on.
I am certainly not going to speak on behalf of Dick Cheney.
So he's not going to speak on behalf of Cheney. Okay, it's in speculation, not speaking on the part of Dick Cheney.
Nor have I spoken on behalf of anybody else, as you probably know.
And he's not speaking for anybody else. This is just Lou speculating.
I can only speak on behalf of me. We do know for a fact that there were certain people in certain administrations that were read onto this topic, and we know that there were some.
So he's speculating, but he says we do know for a fact.
Oh, that word is notorious.
I know. Let's continue.
Yes. Yep.
I'm just trying to take this and pause it and let the audience hear what I'm hearing.
That were not, to include certain presidents that were not read onto this topic. What type of presidential privilege Vice President Dick Cheney may have had is certainly something that I think we should ask him. I think.
Right. And this goes to the point that we've been talking about here for the longest time on Disclosure tonight, Mike, that this is a cover-up coming from the executive branch, that potentially they may or may not be reading presidents into it, but this is something that goes on and continues from administration to administration to administration that's part of the embodiment of that executive branch. Does that make sense?
It does. And if you want to speculate, like Lou keeps saying, about which administration was read in and which administrations were not, let me remind you that George W.'s father, who was also president of the United States, George Herbert Walker Bush, well, he was also head of the CIA, so he was definitely read in.
I know what.
Yep, exactly. You call that out perfectly, my friend. Let's continue.
But I have been told, and what I have learned through my time at ATIP, but with that said, I can't comment for Vice President Dick Cheney. Just like I wouldn't comment for former President Trump or current President Biden. It's not my place. As you noticed before, when I'm asked questions about Congress and their intent, I never answer those questions because it's not my place to say. If people have a question for that person, address it to that person. That would be my answer. And I'm not trying to be evasive. I'm trying to be respectful. I want to make sure that I know my left and right limits, if that makes sense.
I'd actually anticipated you wouldn't be able to answer it, Lou. I just wanted to see a reaction, which I thought was quite telling.
Again, great conversation, but it's conflicting words. So where does it wind up? That's my concern.
Question. Yeah, agreed. I see it the same way you do. Basically translated back into English, I can neither confirm nor deny.
Right. Something they're saying it's speculation, but then saying it's a fact. So,
right. Which means it's not really an answer.
One overrules the other? That's where a lawyer would come in to help on that one, Mike.
That's true. Well, that might actually happen soon.
You never know where it's going to go.
Yeah, that's true. But so I guess the point you're trying to make for the audience is that when somebody provides an answer for you that is two opposite answers at the same time, they kind of cancel each other out, don't they? That's the point. You're not really giving an answer at that point.
Yeah. All right, we've got another clip coming up here where they're talking about the crash retrieval programs and such with Eric Davis. So let me get onto this one. This is another minute and 34 section on this one. Let's go ahead and play this and have some fun watching it and see where we can take in the conversation next. Remember, panel in the back, feel free to raise your hand. Let's talk about this. I love having many different views on this conversation because it's not just about me or Mike. It's about everybody, people in the audience, people in the back. So, Syrup, go ahead.
Yeah, it's maybe slightly off topic, but we're talking about Lou, right? There's been rumors where he may, he may get called in and testify, right? Or whistleblower or something. Can we expect him to say anything, or is it just going to be one of those things where he repeats himself and it's on record now?
Well, I don't know if we're going to hear anything new if he goes in front of the House. That's something he's talked about in the Vinnie Adams interview. We haven't showed that one yet. Here is something we need to. Let's go ahead and listen to this one particular piece first. Nunya, go ahead.
Yeah, it just seems everyone just gives free, word salad at the moment. You know, if you can't comment, just say, like, I can't comment. Or if you can, comment.
So in other words, if someone says, how are you going to fix the economy? You actually answer the question with an answer. You just don't go ahead and go down this road of this big picture thing that doesn't even relate back to the question you're being asked.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is we're getting kind of political in this, in the way we're getting some of the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you listen to the dialogue, it's been there for a long time. Let's go ahead and play this one and have some fun with it. Here we go.
I had been approved by the Pentagon to talk about this particular aspect. I will say that there was a point in time where I was told to my face, verbatim, I am not allowed to talk about crash retrievals at all, or I will absolutely go to jail. And I've honored that. And that's why my book went through the DOPSR process, because I wanted to make sure before I talked about it, I had approval from the Pentagon to do it. And so my book took almost a year to go through the Pentagon process, but they approved me talking about Roswell. And so that's why I can talk about Roswell. Yes, Roswell, by all accounts, was a crash. It was not a balloon. It was not test dummies being thrown out. It was a crash. In fact, it was 2 events.
So
and bodies were recovered, bro?
Yeah.
Correct.
And when you say 2 events, you mean 2
samples that were.
You mean 2 craft that crashed with each other and created separate debris fields, or 1 craft that blew apart into 2 debris fields?
So what I was told was that there was 2 events. One was recovered and by us, and one was able to go away on its own, and that biological samples were non-human biological samples were recovered. Keep in mind, this is the end of the 1940s. Lou Elizondo wasn't alive then, but there were people and there were reports that were generated as a result of that event that colleagues of mine had access to.
Well, we've gotten a clear answer on what happened with Roswell on that one. That's a fact. First time Lou acknowledged Roswell happened was here. Wish I would have gotten the opportunity to hear the second part of it here, but hey, at least we're hearing the answer to that question, Mike, in more fine manner.
Right. But if you listen to how he answered that question, he was very specific to Ross that as far as he heard or he was told that that's what happened.
Remember, he wasn't alive then.
Right. Exactly. So he's not saying that he saw it firsthand or he has proof positive. He's saying he was told. Big difference. I think we need to let the audience be aware of little details like that.
Yeah. Cupcake is right here. My friend Marcus, thank you for bringing her up. If you ever wonder what's in the box on my desk every day, it's my poor cupcake that I lost some time ago, and she's always close, and I keep her that way. Let the trolls have that one. Yeah, me too, Marcus, absolutely. Buddy's up front, but most of you don't know Buddy either. Oh my gosh, where are we at? We got another one. Lou Elizondo was talking about spirituality. This is an interview. Oh, no, it's not here. This is not a clip. Let's go past that. Let's go past a bunch of that. All right, here we go. This is something I don't think we have enough time for it tonight, Mike. No, we don't have enough time. This is an entire show.
We're about to wrap up in a few minutes anyway, so no.
Yeah, we're not going to cover that one. All right, here we got one more. We got one more clip of Kirkpatrick. No evidence of crash retrievals of ET, and Lou actually countering that narrative. So let's listen to this interview clip from Vidion Disclosure Team. Let's have some fun with this one, and here we go.
Very clear. The one thing that Sean Kirkpatrick has said quite a few times now is that he had full access to everything, yet found no evidence of crash retrievals or extraterrestrials in any way, shape, or form.
No, I knew people that.
Sorry about that. It jumped off screen on me. I was trying to change the
We're in organizations that actually said they never came to speak to them. Or they knocked on a door and said, "Do you have anything UFO related?" And they're like, "Huh?" And they walked away. So that, again, that's not accurate. Now, with that said, I also know that he and his family were apparently subject to a lot of intimidation and retribution and threats, which is completely unacceptable.
Right. And some of those people who were doing that, while I had some strong words, the people that were strong against it, I hate to say it, were Swan and also Matt Ford. Am I right on calling that out, Mike?
Yes, sir. You are.
Yeah, absolutely. coming from that particular perspective. Granted, there were a bunch of people on Twitter who were going there, but from a lot of aspects, those were some of the stronger voices. Here we go.
Let me make this perfectly clear. At no time is it ever acceptable to threaten somebody. I don't care what side of the conversation you're on. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care how much you think the other side is damaging disclosure or the opposite.
And remember, if you say something in writing, it's a verified threat, right, Mike? Because it is in writing.
Correct.
You know, if you say something verbally, it has a lot less. Granted, if it's recorded on a lot of the spaces where there's a lot of idiots saying a bunch of stuff they should never say. If they put it in writing, it's actually worse.
Because it's admissible in court as actual evidence, like you just said.
Or if something is a recording that's out there in the public sphere, I guess that's also admissible and part of the public record as well.
Yeah. Well, public record, but it's more along the lines of not an actual court, but more of the court of public opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Let's continue.
There is no time that is ever, in my opinion, is it appropriate to threaten someone or their family, or to expose them, or dox them, or interfere with their privacy and their right to safety and security. That's unacceptable. Anybody who does that is not on Team Disclosure. We don't want you. So I just want to make that clear as well, because he was.
Mike. Have you heard?
This is a hell of a piece to be covering.
I know,
publicly.
but have you heard of something called Team Disclosure before?
No.
What is Team Disclosure?
I think he's referring to anybody sided with him and his efforts for the disclosure movement.
I know.
If I had to guess.
Let's continue on.
Was attacked and his family was threatened. And if that's the case, then that's terrible, because I personally know what that feels like, and I would never wish that on anybody.
Well, let me expand upon that a little bit, because, we see a lot of that kind of negativity in the UFO community. We have people on both sides, people who claim to be supporters of you, who, say pretty bad things, and, they are attacking people and, doxing in some occasions, in your name, and the same comes from the other side, and I don't normally go into this kind of thing, but how does that make you feel?
I appreciate vigor and I appreciate people defending me. What I don't want people to do is attacking somebody else on my behalf. That is not acceptable. And I don't agree with that. If you want to defend somebody.
Wow. Things have changed, haven't they?
Yeah, you and I covered
Let's
this
be
and spoke about
honest.
it privately.
Things have changed.
Well, here's my issue.
Let's continue on and let's listen to more of this.
We can, but you and I are well versed in this already.
Oh, I know that. Let's have some
go
fun.
ahead. Play the clip.
Buddy, based upon facts and data, I support that. And that's on both sides. Not just me. Even like I said, with Sean Kirkpatrick or anybody else who I may not necessarily agree with, I agree with having good, productive conversations, but as long as we have decorum, right, within the field. Part of the problem with the UAP community, they're very passionate, and it's not a problem in itself. That's a virtue. The problem becomes when that passion gets translated into either violence or the threat of violence, or a complete.
Which I've had multiple death threats on, as well as Lou, over time.
Loss of decorum. This only works, this conversation, because we can all talk together, and we can also agree to disagree.
Well, talking together and agreeing to disagree, Mike, that actually means there's a conversation, right?
Correct. There would have to be an actual conversation for that to occur.
Oh, yeah.
The problem is that there's a lot of people that love drama, and they seek it out, and they purposely want to stir it up, whether it's with a certain podcaster or a certain, not so reputable outlet that they know loves just BS and drama and will literally make stuff up.
just because they want to see the result of the drama go, work its.
Which is the shit we've been dealing with, Mike.
Yes, Thomas, we're both aware of it, and we know exactly what Lou is talking about and why Vinny chose to ask him that specific question. But you and I also are well aware of the bullshit, the drama coming from the trolls that have been attacking Lou and us equally on social media, and this is exactly what they're talking about now publicly. It's frustrating to listen to this.
Oh,
and
I know.
I was surprised that you were going to play it at the end of the show.
Well, why not?
Well,
I actually got pulled into such a great conversation with the panel in the back today. Forgot about all this good stuff, but it was there waiting for us.
Which really sucks, because bottom line is that it's unnecessary drama that's not based on any facts, and being subjected to that unnecessarily is frustrating, especially if you don't have a voice to be able to explain it properly as far as what's actually going on, what's real and what isn't.
Yeah.
And I think the audience is not aware of that, because you and I are personally aware of it, and they're not. But now Lou is addressing this, like we've talked about off the show together.
Oh, yeah. Many times. Here
Yes, sir.
Let's hear a little bit more of this. Let me go back.
They want to see the result of the drama go, work its way downstream. That's not helpful. And part of the problem is too, some of it's very sophisticated. Look, I'll give you an example. Wikipedia, which is the number one search engine on Google, has been hijacked. Look, we've got the documents. There are organizations out there that are self-proclaimed skeptics. And by the way, if you ask me, a true believer and a skeptic are no different.
The guy who was behind all this Wikipedia stuff that Lou is talking about is all the same shit that got me in trouble, that still has me in trouble today, Mike, which is from Rob Heatherly, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Bingo.
And Lou was talking about all of this.
I know. I'm just connecting the dots behind the lines. Here we go.
They're just on opposite ends of the spectrum. But both of them, no matter what information you present, they will never change their narrative.
Yeah. Interesting how close, but yet how far things can be.
That's true. But the truly frustrating part of all of this is, if you listen carefully to what Lou said, I can tell you that he was very clear about both sides of this issue and the drama that's been going on lately involving him and us. Because
but here's the thing is, we haven't been out there beating the frickin' drum, everything else. It's just been as normal.
But Lou was very clear about both sides. And he said very specifically that he knows that there is a group that engages in drama and targets certain podcasters who are on the opposite side of the fence. And he knows that those people who are doing that are looking for drama and attention, and it doesn't help move the conversation forward for disclosure. No. He said that.
Yeah.
But he's acknowledging our position and theirs, which means that conversation that we were talking about privately that never took place is unnecessary, because he's aware of both sides of it. And still, we know what we know as far as how it is, how it's played out. That's frustrating. But this is a conversation that should be reserved for private, not necessarily public. But yeah, he spelled it all out.
Well, you've spent the last 5 minutes talking about it, so why not? Not just say, Thomas, let's talk about this after the show. Move on, please.
No, because look, if you made a decision that you wanted to bring this out publicly, and Lou already did.
Honestly, there's no reason why we shouldn't talk about it. There's nothing that should be about. Well, there are a bunch of things behind the veil, and trust me, they're not going to come out, because if they did, it would rock the frickin' boat, and I'm not up for that. None of us.
It's not what it's about. It's not what it's about.
It's about the end goal of what we're all going for in disclosure. Doesn't matter if you align with Lou, you don't align with Lou. We want to get to the truth of all this fucking bullshit, honestly.
Exactly. But it's interesting to me that Lou was very clear about he's aware of all sides and their involvement.
Yeah.
very clearly. And that's the part that stands out for me. So he knows what's going on both sides without having that conversation.
All right. So we've got Vinny with a pirate look to him at this point. Not sure where that came from.
Yes, in his bedroom. He's conducting this interview
I know.
in his
Hey,
bedroom.
that's his new girlfriend or whatever she is, bedroom on the East Coast of the United States. He's getting out of the United Kingdom. I don't blame him. So they're talking about a Lou and Mellon on whistleblowers and possible foul play. A senior DOE agent wanted to come forward and be one of the whistleblowers, and unfortunately, he passed away at his home. His wife found him there dead. So is this that whistleblower who ended up dead? That usual die of a heart attack kind of a thing happened. Something we've all heard in the past. Let's listen on this one, Mike.
Yeah.
Energy is still part of this equation.
They are. So I will tell you, there was an individual, I don't want to say his name. He was a really good human being. He was a very senior person in the Department of Energy. He was a special agent and was also part of their Inspector General, IG. And he told me about 5 years ago, and it's a shame because he's dead now, and he allegedly died from COVID. I can't say one way or another if that's true, but he was very concerned because he told me he had uncovered the UAP effort out of Department of Energy. Now, I've never talked about this, so let me be careful how I say this.
Again, this is something he was told, right, Mike?
Correct.
Which, if someone is being told in a conversation, not necessarily this is what he heard. Just keep it within that realm.
This is not classified. So he revealed to me, he said, look, I'm really upset, Lou. They tried to ruin my career over this. DOE has had a long interest in the UAP issue, particularly over some of our facilities. And I'm tired of the cover-up. And he said, look, the Department of Energy is trying to actively discredit me. I'm very upset by it, which, by the way, maybe he felt kind of compelled to tell me because I went through a similar experience, right? And Dave Grush and anybody else who dared to step forward. And he was very concerned. His wife is a medical doctor, and I had a chance to speak to her after his death. It was a shame. He was a really good man, and he wanted to come forward and be one of the whistleblowers. And unfortunately, he passed away in his home. His wife found him there dead, unfortunately. Now, was it COVID? Yeah, could have been. A lot of people died from it. But it's interesting because there's been some recent issues where folks who are tangentially involved with this topic have had to endure some pretty interesting things lately. And so, coincidence? Yeah, could be, probably. I don't want to be paranoid, but
that's really generic. So some people who have been involved with some of the stuff have had some interesting health issues lately.
Yeah, but let's be clear about what he's talking about in regards to this person involved with the Department of Energy. He's basically saying, to my understanding, that this person died of being a little bit pregnant. Well, the issue I have with that is we both know there's no such thing. Either you are or you aren't. There is no in between.
Right.
And as far as somebody passing away from COVID, that usually indicates somebody that had pneumonia, respiratory failure, fluid filling up in their lungs, and that could be very easily determined medically.
But you also have to look and say, if they died of that, have they had any of these as well that could have led to the situation of where they were at? Because we know there's been a lot of athletes and other people that have had issues that aren't with us anymore today, if you know what I mean. I'm just trying to talk around it without being specific.
Yeah, well, Lou left out key details of this, like did in fact this person receive the jab and then came down with COVID, which happens all the time. Right. And if that's the case, then did this person die from the jab or from the actual infection? See, there's a lot of information missing from this, which is why it's speculative at best. It's not anything that it's all speculation. It's second, third-hand information without any real details. That's what I find odd, to say the least.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you, my friend. Absolutely. I've got one more clip here, jumping off the world of Lou Elizondo, finishing off the night, getting into Christopher Mellon talking about in a SCU podcast about his reason why he doesn't think UAPs are coming from future humans. This is an interesting one. Let's go ahead and play this and have some fun. Come on, don't scroll up on me. Here we go, everybody.
But what is disconcerting is, to some degree, is the interest and activity around military bases and facilities.
Yes.
And, you know, some people think that UAP are humans from the future coming back to look at us for some reason. And, you know, my response to that is, if you were a human from the future, why would you want to come back and go to W-72 to watch hang out in a cloud to watch, you know, some jets and Navy fighters pass by? You know, and do that all day, every day, day after day? Really? So, you know,
that's a really good point he's making there.
We do have a legitimate concern there, why there's so much interest and activity in our military operations and activities, and we'd be foolish to just ignore that. We can't ignore that.
And this isn't just an observation selection.
It isn't necessarily anything extraterrestrial at all. I mean, some of these things may prove to be, it probably will prove to be drones from China, for example, in some cases. I've written about it in these.
So there you go. Some brief looks at this from Christopher Mellon. Nice to have a good grounded view on this. Hey, Mike, have you seen any of the photos of the hills burning around Los Angeles that happened the last day or so?
No, but I'm aware of the fact that Los Angeles in the last day or so had a 5.6 earthquake hit it.
Oh, yeah, they have plenty of those. But this picture I've got up right now is absolutely fabulous of what was going on. Granted, I know it's the hills behind LA burning, but oh, that just looks so apocalyptic. The city is shining bright as the world burns down around it. How about that? Talking about how about that? I think it's time, Mike.
Oh, we're definitely at that time.
Oh, I want to go ahead and thank
timing.
everybody for your wonderful support of Disclosure tonight. And that is just one person giving us a great super chat tonight. And that was Fayersville. Thank you very much. Like, share, and subscribe, please. Appreciate your love and support of everything Disclosure tonight, your ongoing support, Fayersville. Thank you for all that you do, my friend. More importantly, I also want to thank our friends that have been in the chat tonight. Let me go ahead and take a look who's been out there in the chat. Being part of the community of Disclosure tonight: Ann Joanne, Abby Araxa, Andy W., Corey Cabanas, David Williams, Delta Echo, Diane, Elwan Hubbard, Eric Roth and the Gurus. Pink Floyd has been here, along with Firefly, Jan, J-Cat, John Smith, Kathy, Kelly Broughton, those piercing blue eyes are still here. Freakish Preacher just popped up, along with King Bull, Lasso, Mario's Taco, Marcus Mandel, Mick, Reality Check VIP, Mr. Catfish 2100, Shermanator Osborne, our resident ancientologist. How about that in Reality Check VIP? What a great show, what a great audience. But it's not just about the audience. Sometimes it's about the back conversation we've had from the panel. I want to thank the people who've been part of the show tonight. Andy W., thanks for coming out.
Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, great show, and we'll see everybody tomorrow night for Saturday.
Oh, yeah, we've got Robert Sells coming back again tomorrow, Andy.
Great.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. Also want to thank Harold. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Yeah, no problem, Thomas. I didn't mean to get you off track there. I have a habit of doing that, don't I?
Oh, no problem, my friend. Also want to thank Laura Campbell. Thanks for all of your remote viewing insights.
You're welcome, Thomas. Thanks for the great show. Good night, everyone.
Did you have a good time, at least? Was it a good conversation?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Always interesting.
Absolutely. Nick, thank you for coming out tonight, Nick.
Yes, Thomas. I didn't see a link in the chat actually about the China UFO.
Yeah, we'll cover that one tomorrow, my friend. Thanks for bringing that up. I did not see that at this point, but we're at the end, so I want to go out. Thank you for coming out. Susan Ford, none of your business. Thanks for being here.
my pleasure. I enjoyed the show very much. Thank you.
Yeah, and Tia Maria, how's it going? Thanks for coming out tonight, my dear lady.
Oh, always. This is my favorite place to be on a Friday.
Oh, you better believe it. And Mike, thanks for coming out. Thanks for hanging out tonight.
Oh, my pleasure. It was a fun conversation, and it was another fun Friday night show for the audience.
Hey, for a good fuck you Friday, it wasn't so bad. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everyone, but
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you in the flip side. Good night, everybody. Catch you later. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.